The second aspect of results is something that took me a lot of years to learn. It started when I was 16. I walked into the living room where my father was watching Star Trek. And I said, "Hey, Dad, I want to be a vegetarian." And my father jumped up off the couch. He said, "David, that's great." You see, my father was a vegetarian. And he runs over to his file cabinet, because any vegetarians in the room? Got a couple. So you vegetarians, you know there are a couple ways to be a vegetarian, right? You can just eat Pringles and Snickers bars, and that's vegetarian. Or you can balance your amino acids, your proteins, your nutrients, you can do it right. And that's what all these articles are about. So he gives me all these photocopies, and I read them, I studied them, I digested them. Not literally. And I was a strict practicing vegetarian for 3 excruciating days. After that, I figured, apologies to my vegetarian friends, if we're not supposed to eat meat, why are pigs made out of bacon? You can imagine what was going through my head decades later when our 16-year-old daughter, Avery, who was captain of her basketball team, a fashion designer, and president of the Social Justice Club, comes to her mom and I and says, "Hey guys, same age as I was, I want to be a vegetarian." Well, I wanted to be a helpful father, so I'm thinking, there's a lot at stake here. This is a rare opportunity. Golly, what? Avery, I don't know if you know this, but India is the seat of some of the very best vegetarian cooking in the world. You want to be a vegetarian? Learn to cook Indian food. It's amazing. My brother-in-law, my baby sister, married a guy, his family's from India, and he told me that in his native dialect, the word vegetarian ends up translating into English as lousy hunter. So, hey, by the way, if you have vegetarian friends, give them a box of animal crackers. Sorry, that's a freebie. It's a freebie for you. Now, I don't know if it was because of my advice or despite it, whatever, Avery became a vegetarian. 7 years now, she lives in Guatemala, she started a business down there, she has maintained her practice. So what was the difference between Avery and me? Well, let's start with me. Why did I want to be a vegetarian? Did I hear Jim? What'd you say? Because of my dad. It actually wasn't to be like my father. Appreciate you answering, though. Let's try one more. It wasn't to be like my dad. I was a 16-year-old boy. Why did I want to be a vegetarian? I just heard 17 people say it was a girl, and I wish that was the right answer. That would be somewhat respectable. The truth is, there wasn't a girl. I just thought in general that being a vegetarian would help me get a date. Not a specific date, just a date. It was lame, shallow, irrational thinking, and it only changed my behavior for 3 days. In contrast, my daughter had 3 reasons that ran very deep for her. She didn't want to eat anything with a face. She had an ethical consideration. Health, she thought it would be a healthier way for her to live. And then finally, she wanted to reduce her carbon footprint and live more sustainably on the planet. Those reasons might not do anything for you or me. I like bacon. But for her, they were incredibly motivating, and they changed her behavior for all these years. And what's that got to do with leadership? Avery and I, we had the same what. Our what was not eat meat, just eat vegetables. You ask whats of each other and of your employees and of your teams and of your children all the time. The whats are the things we ask people to do. The difference between us? I learned 2 important lessons from that experience. First, I hate tofu. Second, that when there's not a meaningful and significant why attached to things, people lose steam. One of the most important things we can do to be influential, to drive results, to increase people's productivity, is to connect every what to a meaningful and compelling reason why we're asking it. Everybody you come in contact with, they're asking, why should I work with you? Why should I trust you? Why give my energy to what you're working on? Seth Godin summed up my philosophy on this really well. I love this quote from Seth. If your team is filled with people who work for the company or whatever the name of your association, your district is, you'll soon be defeated by tribes of people who work for the cause. The why matters. And statistically, we know from millennials, we heard about some of the generational difference opportunities you'll have this afternoon, the why matters even more than it ever has before. It's one of the reasons I am enthusiastic about the millennial generation in the workplace. We need that why. Why would we want people to do things that don't matter? Right? What's your why?